Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Thomas Spark. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be reviewing ExpressVPN for 2022, letting you know what most other reviewers fail to mention in this unbiased, objective review. Now guys, if you still want to buy ExpressVPN after watching this review, make sure to click the link in the description down below. I think you should be able to get like 3 free months if you purchase a year, as well as the pinned comment down below too. So there you go. Or if you don't want to buy ExpressVPN, check out some of S-tier VPNs on vpntierlist.com, where you'll find my top rated VPNs as well as the reviews for those ones.
But wait, Tom, why should we listen to you? You're just some random guy on the internet, right? Wrong. I'm not just some random guy. I'm the guy who created the first VPN tier list. Now, I've pretty much rated every single VPN out there, and this is something no one else has ever done. I've been doing this for around 5 years now, and I've probably spent thousands of hours of reviewing VPNs. And that means these reviews are the most accurate on the internet, bar none. So guys, up first is going to be pricing. Like always, is ExpressVPN affordable? Well, if you click on my link like you said, you should get 3 free months on the yearly plan, which is around 15 months for $100. The 1 month plan is around $13 and 6 month is around $60, so no way getting around it. ExpressVPN, quite simply put, is an expensive VPN. Also, since they don't put the simultaneous connections here, you know it's not particularly high, and I think as of right now it's only 5. In fact, it used to be 2, and then it used to be 3, and now it's 5, which is much lower than most other VPNs that offer around 8 to 10 simultaneous connections. So ExpressVPN is one of the few VPNs that still only offers that low amount, and it could be a deal breaker for people who have a lot of devices they want to connect at the same time to ExpressVPN. That said, more of my problem is with this price. The good news about ExpressVPN though is that they do have a 30-day refund policy, as you can see here. They also don't use any kind of annoying sales tactics like you'll see with some other VPNs out there. There's no like exclusive countdown clock timers. They're pretty transparent with their deals and stuff like that. And there is no price increase after the first term. So if you pay $100 now, you're going to be paying $100 the 12 months after that. So at least there's kind of that transparency factor. So if we take a look at the pricing points now at the end of this section, it doesn't get a point for $6 to $10 requirement, $20 to $30 requirement for 6 months. It doesn't meet the 1 year requirement either, or 2 or 3 year requirements for those price points. But like I said, it does get some of these things like the refund policy, no timers and no price increases, but it doesn't get points for simultaneous connections. So let's move on to the next section now. In the next section, we can look at the application, and ExpressVPN does have a decent application. It's very consistent, easy to use, and pretty reliable, and there hasn't really been any major data scares or bugs or anything like that. It's definitely been one of the most consistent applications out there. However, that said, it's also a little bit odd in some ways. They don't have WireGuard. Instead, they have something called Lightway, which is similar, but I would have liked to see WireGuard. It just seems to be the best protocol, and ExpressVPN is the only VPN out there that refuses to use WireGuard. Instead, they've kind of invented their own proprietary protocol called Lightway, which is a bit odd. I'm not really sure why, but I've never gotten quite as fast speeds as ExpressVPN compared to some other options. But honestly, speeds aren't bad, but I'm still just not going to give it that point for WireGuard. It does have most of the other stuff you'll need though, like kill switches, split tunneling. It does have Fire Stick support, browser extension support, and a decent interface. However, that said, ExpressVPN does not have some odd features out there that I would like to see. And in fact, I did email ExpressVPN about some of these questions and some of these features I would like to see. They talked about why they don't have most of the features they don't have. They don't have a Linux UI, and static dedicated IPs are not available. They can add this to their feature list, but they can't tell us when that would be available. They are having new features come out and release dates and stuff like that, but I don't know. They do have zero knowledge DNS servers, but you can't manually customize the DNS, which would explain why it doesn't support ad blocking, which is a bit annoying. And they don't have port forwarding for torrent users, and they don't have SockSci proxy either. So in that email, they pretty much confirmed they don't have any of those options that I'm looking for. A lot of these things are nice to have, and it's kind of disappointing to see that ExpressVPN does not support them and doesn't really seem to care to support these things.
Honestly, and now that they're bought by Cape, I could see a lot of these things just kind of staying the way they are and not really changing too much. So unfortunately, it does have one of the weaker applications in terms of pure feature sets. It is a consistent, well-made application though, and it is one of the first VPNs to have split tunneling, which was cool. So overall, it's fine, but definitely lacking a lot of things that I don't think it will ever add for those people who like those extra things like I mentioned. Going into the speed, we could test the speeds now. Let's go ahead and connect and run a speed test. We are going to want to probably select Lightway over this automatic selection because, you know, they always, I don't know why, it should default to the fastest protocol, but sometimes it doesn't. So let's go ahead and reconnect and try doing a speed test now. All right, so we are now connected to the speed test. Let's go ahead and see what kind of speeds we can get. Now, some of the fastest VPNs I could get around 800 to 900 megabits per second, which would translate then to around 80 to 90 megabytes a second. And we can see what we get with ExpressVPN here. Not quite the performance that I'm looking for. We have now loaded it into our torrent application. Let's see what kind of speeds we can get. Like I said before, some of the max speeds here on the channel we've gotten is between 80 to 100 megabytes a second, which is insanely fast, pretty much maxing out my gigabyte connection. And in fact, here on the channel, I just posted a tweet the other day about Tor getting around 100 megabytes a second download here, which is insane. Pretty much downloading this entire file in no time at all. ExpressVPN here just isn't quite delivering, and this is what I was talking about. Sometimes this lightweight protocol, sometimes ExpressVPN just quite isn't as fast as some of the other options now. I'm not sure why, but these speeds just really aren't cutting it nowadays. 30, 20, not bad a couple of years ago, but just doesn't seem to compare to some of the other options out there. I'm not sure why. Now, if you move into the privacy section, how private is ExpressVPN? And unfortunately, like some of the other big VPNs out there, it does have a lot of ad trackers on its website, third-party cookies, tells Facebook when you visit the website, and they are using Google Analytics. They additionally have 2 trackers on Android as well, so unfortunately, they don't do too well in that sort of thing. If we're looking here, they're not going to get points for that. They also have 2-factor authentication through like an email service, but not like true 2-factor authentication with an app-based authentication, which is preferred. So they don't really pass any of these privacy things that VPNs, in my opinion, should have mandatory. Why run a VPN company that's based on privacy if you have ad trackers on your website? I don't really care any reason why. It just should not be a thing. And there are VPNs out there that use open source privacy friendly analytics instead of Google Analytics, especially since according to Blacklight it tells Facebook when you want to visit a website. No way. They also don't really offer too many extra privacy services, although that said, they do have routers they sell, which are pretty good, and they did send me a router a long time ago, and I was pretty impressed with the router software. So that's cool at least, but not exactly what I'm looking for. Maybe stuff like private email, some other things would be cool. The good thing about Express is they don't really have any history of like mismanaged data leaks per se. So they've been always pretty good about security. However, that said, ExpressVPN's company ownership has always been an issue. They've always been a little bit too anonymous and stuff like that. And I always had problems with this. If you watch any of my reviews in the last 5 years, you'll always see me mention in each review that I was a little bit skeptical on why ExpressVPN was holding their cards so close to their chest. They always seem to say, you know, we liked having our employees and everything like that anonymous to protect their identities and stuff like that from spy agencies. However, this year it turned out that they sold their company to Cape Crossrider, pretty much liquidating their company, selling it off to another company for ownership for around like $1 billion, which is pretty crazy. Not only that, but it turned out one of the head people at the company was a former kind of hacker involved in hacking US citizens. That's kind of just a basic summary, but you can look into details about this. The guy was called Daniel Garrick, and this was a huge controversy, causing a huge bad PR wave against ExpressVPN. And as far as I know, he's still working at the company, even though a lot of the employees themselves were upset. And even there was some news about employees leaving the company to go to private internet access, because it's also another company owned by Cape as well. So that is definitely sketchy and kind of a betrayal of trust. And I had talked to one of the employees from ExpressVPN voicing some of my concerns after this happened, and they kind of just gave me some generic response and never really got back to me about some of my concerns. So that's definitely disappointing. That said, the company itself, at least from my interactions, has always been pretty pleasant and professional, and I've had worse interactions with some other companies out there that even to this day have better reputations. So take that as you will. In terms of customer support, we actually saw an improvement here. I did email Express, and they did give me that very well thought out response to my questions with some of the features that I was talking about within an hour. So that's really good, ExpressVPN. That was really nice to see. It's an expensive VPN with a little bit of a limited application that has taken a severe reputational hit, and it doesn't do the best in some of the back-end privacy things that we like to see from a privacy company, like having no ad trackers, open source analytics, and those kind of things. Customer support is quite good though. We were kind of disappointed by the speeds, admittedly. We didn't really get good speeds in this test. Honestly, the speed test and torrent test alone were pretty disappointing, rounding out the total score here to around 34.89. So as of right now, it's probably going to be, the other VPNs are going to be shifted around as well. But right now, Express is going to be pretty much at the bottom of B tier. So I think that's a pretty fair score for ExpressVPN. Let me know down in the comments down below if you think that's a fair score for ExpressVPN at 34.89 B tier VPN. It definitely has a lot of improvements to be made, but I'm not sure if it's really going to quite get there. It seems to be a pretty consistent service for better or worse in terms of what they will really do to it. So there you go. If you guys like this review, make sure to let me know down in the comments below. Give it a like, thumbs up, and stick around for more honest VPN reviews here on the channel.